TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. Hey, P, have you heard of this Sneako guy?
Wait, isn't that the guy who said that there is a book that was removed from the Bible that is called the Book of Council of Nicaea?
Yeah, in case you're new here, there's something going on called the avalanche of apostasy. Islam is crumbling from within. The apostasy rate went from roughly 0% in like 2005, 2006 among young people to about 25% as of a few years ago. So that is very, very, very rapid shift there. Muslim leaders around the world, even though the Dawa guys still thump their chests, oh, we're conquering the world, they know that it's actually crumbling from within. And so they're in kind of a panic mode because this is connected to everything. This isn't just like a normal human desire to for whatever group you're in to conquer the world. It's built into Islam. That's the way things are supposed to be. Muhammad said, I saw the east of the east and the west of the west, and I saw that Islam ruled everything I saw. Islam is supposed to conquer the world. And when all of a sudden you start looking and going, whoa, we got apostasy rates skyrocketing right now. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I just pointed out somewhere that, like, because I was doing this way before most of you guys were even born. But back in the day when the numbers came in about the growth rate of Islam, the attitude back in the day, well, you go back 20 years, the attitude was, we're not going to sit back and do nothing. We're going to keep doing dawah, but basically we don't have to do anything. We can chill, because if we do nothing, we win by birth rates. And, 40 or 50 years from now, we dominate the entire world. That was the mindset. You wanted to accelerate it. You wanted to make it go faster. So you wanted to do your dawah. But the attitude was, we're win. It's locked in. The numbers, it's just math. It's math at this point. And more recently, things have changed. Now the apostasy rates have been skyrocketing. And so now it's, if we sit back and do nothing, we lose. We can't sit back and do nothing. We have to do something. And what do? Well, right now they're clinging to their dawah guys. Ali Dawah will save us from the avalanche of apostasy. Not realizing, no, Ali Dawah is just going to make things worse for you. Much, much, much worse. And they're clinging to any random convert. Now we're going to take a look at Sneako's epic debate. And really, guys, this isn't to pick on Sneako. You could pick some new convert to pretty much anything, and he's not going to know a lot. So that isn't the issue. It's a different vibe with Sneako, because it's not just the fact that he doesn't know anything. It's that he constantly talks like he knows what he's talking about to his viewers, who are even dumber than he is. And that's saying something. And so he's actually misleading people. Let's go ahead and check out this powerful, powerful, powerful video.
I don't know. I was wondering.
Hello there. Are you Sneako? Yeah. It's good to meet you. I'm a Christian. Do you mind if I have a dialogue?
Yeah, let's talk. Sure. You
sure. So I was wondering what your perspective was about the preservation of the Bible and the Quran.
Right. The Quran has never been changed.
Never been changed. So there's only one Quran.
Yeah, there's only one version of the Quran.
Only one version.
Only one version of the Quran, he said.
The Quran.
Man.
Yeah, and since then, like, people have been able to.
What do you say, man? It's like it's funny. Chris is like, oh my goodness, I can't believe he just said that.
Yeah, and since then, like, people have been able to recite it, even if all the Qurans were burned, we'd be able to.
Right. Because the oral tradition.
Do you hear that? The standard Dawah script. Even if you burned every manuscript, we'd still be able to just recite it from memory. And guys, no, you wouldn't, because different Muslims in different parts of the world memorize different versions of the Quran. Sneako doesn't know any of this, but it's all the standard Dawah script. Only one Quran, only one version of the Quran, totally different from everything else. Just one version. And if it was all destroyed, we would all put it together by memory. Total nonsense. Memory was your problem in the beginning. That's why you ended up with so many differences.
So you can recite it.
I can't recite it, but people can memorize it. Yeah.
Right. Because the oral tradition, you know exactly what it is, so you can recite it.
I can't recite it, but people can memorize it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, brothers can.
So do you accept that there's 10 qira'at of the Quran?
He just said, but people can memorize it. Yeah, we can memorize Dr. Seuss, Sneako. It just cracks me up, the level of stupidity of these arguments. But people can memorize it. Yeah. If I sat down and tried, I could memorize the lyrics to every Katy Perry song that has ever been made. What in the name of common sense would that have to do with whether it's from God? Nothing.
So do you accept that there's 10 qira'at of the Quran, 10 different readings?
Sure.
Okay, but those 10 different readings are obviously different, right?
Okay.
So if they're
Do you accept the 10 qira'at? Sure. He has no clue what the guy's talking about. Sure.
Yeah, sure. I guess. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Whatever.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
different, then there's not one Quran, there's 10 Qurans.
Okay.
So do you take...
Okay.
Okay.
So do you take that back, that there's only one Quran?
That's the first time I've heard that.
Look at what just happened. If someone converts to Islam, I don't blame that person for not knowing about the 10 qira'at and so on. I have no reason to think that you would know about that stuff. But if you're out there talking like there's only one Quran perfectly preserved and it's perfectly preserved, and I remember you could destroy it all and we would still be able to just recite it from memory and put it all back together. You've absorbed the Dawah script and you're proclaiming it. You're proclaiming it as if you know what you're talking about, and you don't know even the basics of the basics. And that's the problem. It programs people with completely wrong information and makes them say it with complete confidence as if they're experts on the subject, and they just and here's what the situation is. And one, they're saying things that are completely false and ridiculous. And it just spreads like crazy. And two, they have actually no clue what they're talking about, and anyone with accurate information could completely destroy their position. This is insane.
The bad thing is, when he now if he now went to a Muslim scholar or apologist and said, "Hey, I just heard about this whole thing, like these Quran. I never heard of this before. What is this about?" And then they informed him about all of this. What he would do is, oh, okay. So this, and this, and this, and this. He would learn additional things in order to build another defense. He wouldn't think
that's about to happen.
Wait a minute, I was wrong about this. I was clearly wrong, and then correct himself. No, he would just learn additional defense positions for that.
That's exactly. See, you haven't seen this yet, have you?
No.
That's exactly what happens here, right? This the big guy behind him jumps in with, "Oh no, that's just yeah, there are differences, but it's just like different accents. It's like speaking with different accents." Right. And it's like, gosh, so not only does Sneako think that he's gonna spout this standard Dawah script right in front of Chris, who's a seasoned debater, the guy behind him thinks, oh, I can jump in with the explanation of this, and not realizing, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all. So, guys, I find this absolutely amazing that you have the Dawah guys, and they basically program an entire generation to believe dot for dot, letter for letter, perfect preservation, not one single variant in the entire manuscript history of the Quran. Your average Muslim, he doesn't have manuscripts in front of him. He doesn't go to the hadiths and look up the history of the preservation. He doesn't know about the different qira'at, and so he doesn't know any of this. So they're able to deceive an entire generation. But what was happening? What was happening that entire time? Critics are coming along going, guys, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. Why don't you actually look what your books say about the history of the Quran and the changes? Why don't you look at actual manuscripts? Why don't you pay attention to the different versions of the Quran that
I don't want to look.
Yeah. And then, so once these same Muslims who've been told perfect preservation right down to the letter, no variants anywhere, once they started being shown textual variants in the Quran, they went back to the exact same Dawah guys, explain why there are variants. Oh, it's just like different accents. And then they came back, it's just different accents. And then people saying, this is not different accents. These are different words. They go back, because it's different dialects. Yeah, the Quran was revealed in these different ways, in these different dialects. And they came back, okay, see, it's just different dialects. No, it's not different dialects. Some of these different readings in the Qira'at actually give contradictory meanings. The meanings contradict one another. And so then they go back and forth and but all the different readings are revealed in all those different ways because they complement each other. No, they don't. They contradict each other. And what amazes me is every step of the way, these same just general Muslims will keep going back to the same Dawah guy who's been lying to them the entire time and go back to the same exact guys over and over again. And now you see it all in a nutshell with Sneako and his buddy here. And it's just a perfect preservation, only one Quran. And it actually, wait a minute, there are 10 different Qur'an. By the way, there are more Qur'an than that. Those are like the official ones. Actually, you got different versions of the Quran. So do you take that back? And then this guy's going to jump in. No, it's different accents. And then he's going to get shut down on that. And then Sneako's going to run. And it's, I don't know. It's just perfect. It's just a perfect encapsulation of the state of Dawah in the world. This is Dawah in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. This is how Dawah works.
That's the first time I've heard that.
I said it to you, you accepted it, so I assume you know about it, right? You're not just taking my word for it.
What are the 10 versions?
No, so there's different citations, just like there's different accents. There's a British accent, there's a Texas accent, there's an English accent.
They're not accents.
Different accent. Who are you gonna believe, a Muslim or a Christian?
So really?
Wow, man. Wow. How pathetic. How pathetic can you possibly be? Wow, what a response, man.
Isn't that amazing? Guys, did you see that? Did you see the Dawah in action? They have filled Sneako's mind with completely false information. I don't even know why they do it at this point. They know it's going to be exposed. They know it won't last. When they say perfect preservation, only one version of the Quran, they know it's not going to last at this point. But they filled his head with that stuff anyway. Why? Because he's been rolling with Sheikh Uthman, who still defends the scientific miracle. He's still Sheikh Uthman is like a guy from like 10, 15 years ago, right? Prior to these things being exposed. He's still in a race to try and spout the say. He's in a race that he can lie to people faster than you can refute the lies. He's still in that mode. But look at that. So Sneako, yes, only one Quran, only one version of the Quran. That gets refuted. Actually, there are 10. These are the 10 official Qur'an. Again, there are more. But so there are 10 different readings of the Quran. And Sneako asked the guy who's with him, because Sneako, I haven't heard this before. Guess what? They're putting Sneako out there to preach Islam over and over again, and he has no clue what he's talking about. And they programmed him with a message, and he's just saying it, and he has no clue what he's talking about. But he doesn't know. He says, this is the first time I've heard this. He turns to the guy, what are the 10 different readings? And the guy goes, it's like accents, man. You got a British accent, an English accent, and no, it's not. Who are you going to believe? This Christian who's speaking the truth, or a Muslim who's lying to you and saying it's just like different accents, like a British accent? My goodness, man.
This is so... I'm trying to think of a comparison, but it's like they're treating him like... I don't know. It's like when he has doubts, he has a question, and he's informed by somebody else about it. He's like, oh, hold on. Are you going to believe him, or are you going to believe a Muslim? He's not a Muslim. You're supposed to believe a Muslim, not a Christian. So that's the message, Sneako. Behave. Believe the Muslims. Don't believe the Christians. Don't believe the non-Muslims. They will lie to you. You're supposed to believe us. Or are you really going to believe a non-Muslim on this?
This is awesome. Man. This is, guys, like, here's what gets me, and here's where I can't believe that someone is actually sincere at this point. When you're Sneako and someone gave you all these ideas about why you need to become a Muslim, and those are completely destroyed. Multiple people destroyed them. I'm one of them. And you just don't care. You just keep rolling with it. And you see right here, hey, no one told me about this. That should be a red flag right there. Wait a minute. I'm hanging out with these Muslim guys all the time who are telling me about the perfect preservation of the Quran. No one ever mentioned to me what this Christian had just mentioned to me. That should be a red flag right there. Why am I only getting accurate information about the Quran from Christians and not from the guys I've been hanging out with? And then he sees it right in front of his face. Let me ask a Muslim what this guy's talking about, because I have no idea. And the guy lies right in front of him, and then pulls the who are you going to believe? This Christian or this Muslim? Huh? How do you not at that point realize, oh my goodness, I can't believe I bought into this stuff?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. Someone was live streaming and they made it clear that Sneako was in London. And Sneako, during this live stream, said that he wanted to go to Speaker's Corner. And I think it was Hijab said to him, don't do this. That's probably not a good idea.
Uh-huh.
Really?
Now,
Wow.
you see, we were thinking, yeah, we were thinking about this. We were thinking, what are the odds Sneako doesn't listen to that and goes anyway? And we all thought that was a pretty high likelihood, right? So we thought, okay, this is actually our chance. We may have a chance to debate with Sneako. And we were thinking this might be pretty special for a day. So let's make the most of it. So we all sort of try to get there, and there are many people that came with this intent of debating him. And as soon as I got there slightly later than usual. I just looked around and thought, is he here? And I saw him in the crowd, and that's where the video starts. I literally just go up to him and say, hey, are you Sneako? Introduce myself briefly, and then thought, this would be great. Let's debate.
Who you gonna believe, a Muslim or a Christian?
Really?
Oh, that guy.
Wow.
All right. So Chris, are the different readings of the Quran different accents? Like, an Australian guy has his accent, and a British guy has his accent, an American has a different accent. Is that what we're talking? Is that what you were talking about?
No, not at all. The 10 qira'at that are accepted by scholarship, it takes the Uthmanic Codex, which is, Uthman collected the Quran, he burnt all the other stuff. So you now have this supposed one copy that Uthman has given both thumbs up to, and he distributes it to different cities. And when he does this, people add different Arabic marks or diacritical marks that change the text, and it changes the meaning of the text. Now, a lot of the times this is kind of like quite basic, like it changes like you to them, or it's past tense to future tense. But sometimes it actually changes entire words. So yeah, it does change the meaning.
And yet it's just different accents. So Sneako, guys, just keep it boggles the mind. Sneako's head has been filled with false information about the Quran. Chris gives him some accurate information about the Quran. The guy who's there to protect Sneako jumps in with more deception to basically keep Sneako from realizing that this is a serious idea.
Who are you gonna believe, a Muslim or a Christian?
Really? Is that what it boils down to? Just
the difference between the qira'at?
Yeah, of course. So there's a famous one. Muhammad Najab will tell you this. So I had a chat with him about it. So you have in Surah Al-Fatiha, you have ayah 4. I think it's ayah 4. Ayah 4 right? Yeah. So Maliki al-Madin or Maliki al-Madin, owner or king in Arabic. They're two different words. So if you want to read up about this, you can get a book called the 10 Qira'at of the Noble Quran by Dr. Fadal Suleiman, who worked for the Bridges Foundation in Cairo, which is a Dawah institute. And he's wrote a book about it, where he translates the Quran into English, but not just in one reading, he does it for all 10. So you can read the differences in the Quran for all different 10 valid readings according to Islamic scholars.
Great.
Cool. So do you accept that?
Great.
Nice one.
But I mean, think about this. Sneako. So, I mean, this is like, I don't understand. I don't understand not seeing the problem here. So one was, I thought perfect preservation of only one Quran version. Now this is just in a period of a few seconds that has unraveled before my eyes. That's one issue. The second issue is, when I heard this new information, this guy instantly stepped in to try to gloss over the issue with a smokescreen. Then when that didn't work, then he tried to, you only believe Muslims, only believe what Muslims say, even though these guys clearly lying right now. And then the fourth issue is, wait a minute, all the Dawah guys that I've been talking to have been filling my head with one idea, and it took literally seconds to completely destroy. Maybe I can't trust these guys. Maybe I shouldn't mindlessly be trusting everything these guys say when it only took a few seconds to show that I'm being lied to, and it just doesn't bother him at all. And I don't know what to do with that. When you're dealing with a person, so you can have an atheist, a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, everyone, and even if they have disagreements, you can have people who are actually concerned about the truth and getting to it. But then I don't know what you do when someone's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I've been lied to, and the guys I'm hanging out, they keep lying to me, and they're clearly lying to me and manipulating me, but I'm cool with it. I don't know what to do at that point.
But think about it. That calls into question, like, is he even sincere?
That's true.
I mean, when I was speaking to him, I got the impression that he's here. He's doing some sort of like, I don't know, stunt where he wants to see what Speaker's Corner is. There's cameras around. I mean, you know, the level of argumentation he was engaged in was terrible. It was really bad, and he knew nothing. He knew nothing about his own faith or Christian faith. So you had Christians like Ananda, like Sig, like others as well, who were debating at the time, and David, who were trying to explain to him basic things about Christianity, and he was just unaware of it. So these debaters had to go back to the very basics to be like, okay, so Christians believe in something called the Trinity, and you know, and all these basic things people had to explain to him, and that leads me to think, I don't know if this guy's for real.
He might not know a single thing about Islam. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they took him in. He has become part of Islam. They have now all the time in the world to educate him. And the way it looks right now, if the trajectory continues as it is...
The trajectory continues as it is!
He will never learn a single thing, but that doesn't matter, because as said, he has all the time in the world. And compare this to other faiths. You see with your own Christian community how you wouldn't just roll with something like this. We have recently looked at the Jewish community. They have extremely high expectations of somebody who converts to go through some serious education and show that he knows, in order to then recognize that this person is actually a convert. With Muslims, it doesn't matter. It's just, okay, hop on board. We don't care if you know anything. Yeah.
In fact, the less you know, the better.
Yep.
We want a completely ignorant person that we can write our Dawah script onto. Yeah.
Well, this is what they do. They have all these like public Dawah stands, like in the UK. They've actually moved away from Speaker's Corner now a lot, mostly because there's now Christian debaters there, and they've kind of made this uniform decision collectively that they won't engage with Christian debaters anymore. They go out to other places now and have their own Dawah stalls. I see that as an admission of defeat, to be honest, but they don't want to debate. There are tons of videos online now where Christian debaters are going up to Muslim debaters and they're just saying, no, don't want to engage with you. They're coming up with excuses. So, you know, that is what it is. But so they go elsewhere and they tell naive individuals, you know, Islam is amazing. Islam is just one God. You know, it doesn't have all these issues that Christianity does. It's always in comparison to Christianity, and they'll dumb down all the bad things if they've ever heard of any. And then they get them to say the Shahada. They say, hey, I tell you what, you could become a Muslim right now. You just need to say these words. Now repeat after me. And they make them say it in Arabic. And then they leave it. And then the other person just goes. And it's a totally meaningless, not profound, silly, like conversation they had. That it doesn't mean anything to the person.
That the Quran is not perfectly preserved.
No, I'll read that book and I'll see if that's the case. It's the first time I've heard that.
Okay.
Chris, did you believe Sneako when he said he's going to read that book?
Well, if he can read, then no, I don't think he would. I don't get any sincerity from that. I do genuinely hope for the man. You know, as a Christian, I do genuinely want the best for him.
He actually seems like a nice guy who got too popular too fast.
No, I'll read that book and I'll see if that's the case. It's the first time I've heard that.
Okay. Well, all right. I think you can see the point that the Quran isn't perfectly preserved, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay,
that's according to you.
Sneako nodded.
Well, that's according to the scholars I quoted. I mean, you can ask Muhammad Hijab, he has the same view.
Because the question is, which one is divinely revealed?
Well, it gets a bit more complicated because there's supposed to be 7 aluf.
Also, keep in mind that you guys are Christians. You guys misinterpret everything.
Okay. So that's called ad hominem.
Why would we
that's called ad hominem.
That's you think a man is God.
That's ad hominem. Ad hominem. Calm down. No need to attack someone.
I mean,
it's just ad hominem. Ad hominem means against them. It's a fallacy that people use in debate when they can't actually address the point.
I'm having a conversation.
So let's address the point. So according to Islamic Sunnah, the Hadith, Muhammad says there is 7 viable different ways that you can recite the Quran. They're called the Aruf. I can get the Hadith, it's Sahih Bukhari and others as well. So that must mean there are 7 ways of reciting the Quran. But according to your scholars, there's 10. How did that happen?
That was the first time I'm hearing that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. That's it. That's interesting. Translation. See, that's interesting. Translation, Isn't it interesting that they've been telling you all this stuff and no one ever bothers to tell you anything that I'm telling you, and that you have to get basic fundamental information about the Quran from a Christian, not from these guys. And what are these guys telling you? We don't believe the Christian, who's the only person here who's giving you anything remotely resembling accurate information.
Culturally speaking, I'm familiar with the cultural background, what you're doing here, Chris, by knowing more than he does and delivering more to Sneako than he does. This guy is taking that in a really, really bad way. You're hurting his honor. It's as if you were, impressing his wife and taking his wife away or something like that. That's basically how he feels.
Yeah, and by the way, Chris, along those same lines, I'm actually shocked. Like you said the conversation didn't go nearly as long as you wanted. I'm shocked that it went on as long as it did, just because interactions it's normally with if someone's talking to a teenager, like when Nabil and I would be at a festival and a group of 15-year-olds would come up and start asking questions. Like the older, they lose their minds at the thought of these 15-year-olds talking to like a Christian apologist or something like that. And so they will find a way. In that case, it was like false police complaints and stuff like that to get us in trouble in order to stop this from going on. So I'm actually impressed that it went on as long as it did. And these guys didn't jump in a little more forcefully to shut it down.
Right. That's normally what would happen. Someone would step in, whisper in his ear, tell him, or just come in and be like, we need to pray. It's time to pray. That's common one as well.
That's standard. Yeah. Hey, we got a call over here, man. You got to answer this. Hey, we got something you need to do. Very, very common. So let that be a lesson to you, Dawa guys. Protect Sneako better. It's just amazing that how perfect of a representation this is as far as what's been going on in the world. For 14 centuries, Muslim leaders were able to keep people insulated like Sneako. So they get to program them with whatever they want and they don't hear anything from outside. All of a sudden we get to the age of the internet and now you have access to people and people start leaving Islam like crazy. But then you get these individual converts and they have to do the same thing. Keep him insulated. Follow him around. Don't let him get in any discussions because it's going to destroy his confidence in Islam. And then it's just not working, just like it's not working in the world as a whole. The hadith talk about 7 ahruf, and Muslims don't even know what that is. And then you're pointing out, wait a minute, now you got 10. So what happened?
Yeah, there's a naive kind of understanding that the ahruf and the qira'at are the same thing, but they aren't. The issue is that no one really knows what the ahruf is, but somehow we have 10 known accepted readings, which are the qira'at, and yet Muhammad talked about only in any sense of like variation in the Quran, there's meant to be 7, right? 7 different ways to recite the Quran correctly, but Muslims believe there are 10 different ways to recite the Quran like correctly. So you need to reconcile this in some way. And people like Dr. Yasser Qadi and others have written on this. And basically, there isn't really a convenient answer.
No.
Like, we don't know if Uthman burnt all the Aruf, like, apart from one, or if he somehow tried to preserve them. But if he preserved them, like, how on earth did he do that? Mm-hmm. Was he going against Muhammad when Muhammad said it's meant to be recited in 7 ways? But Uthman was like, no, too confusing. Let's burn all these and do it in 1. Like, it's weird. No easy answers.
Yeah, so guys, we end up with these different Quran versions that are used in different parts of the world. So you got these 10 different Qurans, these 10 different versions of the Quran. And so if they weren't somehow clinging to perfect preservation in some sense, this wouldn't be an issue. It'd say, okay, you had textual variants, not a huge issue. It's only a huge issue when you're clinging to this kind of perfect preservation and Allah is miraculously preserving your book. So when we bring up these different qira'at, the response is, but the hadith say that Allah revealed it in these different ways. And what Chris is pointing out is that the Quran refers to 7 ahruf, and these are not the same thing. And then you have the additional issue of supposedly these 7 different ahruf or modes went through a filtration system where Uthman started burning them to cover up the differences. And so wait, how do you get to 10 different versions now that all go back to Muhammad if it was revealed in 7 ways? And then those 7 ways were apparently cleansed, or do you want to say they weren't cleansed and he somehow kept them, but suppose he kept it, how do you get to 10 now? Where are you getting these extra versions here? Something along those lines, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's the miracle of interpretation, like just how you see it, you've got to see it the right way.
Powerful, powerful stuff. And guys, there is, just so you know, there is no answer on this, right? They don't know what the ahruf are. You can make, scholars have made suggestions and so on. They don't know how it connects. And this is what Sheikh Yasser Qadhi was really coming unraveled about in the famous holes in the narrative interview. Lots of us use the holes in the narrative. The standard narrative has holes in it. Lots of us use that to kind of make fun of the claim that there's only one Quran perfectly preserved, with and as if he's saying that standard narrative. He was actually saying, he's actually granting that there are issues with the ahruf and the kirat, and the holes in the narrative that he was talking about was the narrative that we can actually explain the different Qurans in terms of the Uthmanic recension and the different ahruf. And he's saying, and Muslim scholars will offer their responses, and he's pointing out that actually non-Muslim scholars, they don't have this this line that they won't cross. They'll start pressing us on our explanations, and our explanations don't work. And his conclusion is that our narrative actually has holes in it. Not perfect preservation. He knows that's complete nonsense. The narrative that we can actually explain how all this stuff goes back to Muhammad, that's got some holes in it. And he's basically, I'm going to work on it to figure it out, but it's
what
not
does it
working
have?
Holes in the narrative.
Oh, okay.
Called the Aruf. I can get the Hadith, it's Sahih Bukhari and others as well. So that must mean there are 7 ways of reciting the Quran. But according to your scholars, there's 10. How did that happen?
That was the first time I'm hearing that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You should look it up. Because what people are saying is that actually, Uthman canonized the Quran. Do you know about that canonization process?
No. What's that?
Okay, so the third caliph. Yeah, so Uthman put together a committee around 652 time to around 656. And he put together this committee to collect different Quranic materials from different places.
Again, I am shocked that these guys are letting you talk this much. Like, these are the worst. These are the worst. You can't call them bodyguards. You can call them idea guards or something like this. But they're doing a terrible job.
Reports of people arguing about what the Quran was, because they differed. He then decided to standardize it into one Qurayshi dialect, to one standard reading. And then he burnt all the other Quranic materials and he sent it out to the 5 different cities. So you had Kufa, Sham, Medina, Mecca, and so on. My point is that if there's meant to be 7 readings, where are they?
I don't know. Where do you think they are?
I think they were destroyed. I think that 6 out of 7 valid readings for your Quran are destroyed and they're not preserved.
They are within all the recitation we have today.
6 out of 7 is the majority. It's a vast majority.
Who do you think destroyed them?
This is my good friend Sam.
What's that?
I was just going to say, the guy speaking there is a heckler, very, very frequent heckler called Sam Dower. And he has his own YouTube channel. He's like a cameraman, but he loves to just disrupt anything that looks like it's going well for Christians. So as you can imagine, he's quite busy. And he's just coming in and just saying, I don't even know what he's saying, but,
I love him, absolutely love
Who do you think destroyed them?
Uthman.
Why do you
They are
think?
within.
I don't know. We don't know. I mean, it's a scholarly question. We don't actually know what Uthman destroyed. It just says that there were Quranic manuscript material that was destroyed. It was burnt, but they never elaborate on what that was. So in effect,
You don't think you're just projecting about how all the
is this
Bible-
another ad hominem?
just a
Is this another ad hominem? Okay.
AP, watch, let me back up a little bit. Watch, all this guy wants to do, keep in mind, Chris is sharing information. If Chris says something is wrong, if Chris says something that's wrong or false, the correct response would be, actually, Chris, you don't know what you're talking about. Let's check this hadith or something like that. Instead, it's, you're just projecting your own insecurities about the Bible onto us. Like, Chris is like, wait a minute. This is like in your books. Sneako knows nothing about any of this. He doesn't know about the kirat. He doesn't know about the ahruf. He doesn't know about what happened with Ummah. He doesn't know any of this. I have to tell him because you guys don't. And then, oh, you're just projecting your own insecurity. We're not insecure. We're not the ones who are insecure.
Yeah.
That's a
Because
two-court
how
way
all
fallacy.
the Bible
Hold on,
burned.
hold on.
You don't think you're just projecting?
Hold on. That's
your
Got a speaker's
insecurities-
corner.
That's a two-court
You
way
don't
fallacy.
think you're just projecting your insecurities
No,
from
ad
the
hominem,
Bible?
ad hominem,
Brother,
ad hominem.
that's a two-court way fallacy. Whether it was or was not the case that the Bible was preserved or not.
Because that's what I know about Christians.
Hold
You
on,
guys just project
Hold on, I was still.
your insecurities
hold on, I was
about
still-
your
Wait,
religion.
you going?
onto Muslims.
Whoa, you going? He walked off. Right.
Quran, and
That
then
was the
you say,
quickest
well, what
debate
about
ever.
the Bible? That's fallacious as well. Have you basic,
I don't know.
fallacies?
I'm a conversationalist. I don't have debates.
Do you want to debate? Do you want to debate?
I'm a conversationalist. I don't have debates. I just jump in to protect Sneako from hearing anything untoward.
I don't know how to debate. I don't know how.
You know when?
Yeah, because that's what you tried to do to me as well. You tried to turn it on to
Don't you think
us instead
you're
of answering
like
the questions,
number one
right?
objective?
Would you like to debate?
Done.
No, I don't.
No, you
Because
don't
I'm not.
question.
I'm just good. I think you have intentions. Of
Yeah, I just generally want Muslims to know what scholarship says, and then they can make their own mind up.
That's cool. That guy's still there talking to you, chatting a little bit. So it's not all bad.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and hear your assessment here.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to approach it.
Good. All right, take care. Well, that was a lot shorter than I was expecting. I was expecting something longer than that. I came in with basically 2 points. That there is not one single Quran. There's a very minimum 10, according to the scholars of today. I quoted a source. I quoted a book that he could read this from. There are 10 different qira'ats. So he said, I have no idea. And then, which I kind of hope would be, he'd know a bit more by now. I know he's been a Muslim for, I think, maybe over a year or something like that. I don't know, but someone hasn't told him the truth about the Quran. He's been told, and he told me straight at the beginning, there is one perfectly preserved Quran. But when I said, actually, here's some evidence to the contrary, it all fell apart, which is a shame, really. I hope that Sneako actually goes back and looks at these claims and does his own study of the evidence, because the evidence is overwhelming, and it comes from Islamic scholars. That's the funny thing. I'm quoting him, Islamic scholars, and he's like, well, I don't want to know this, so and then he leaves. He walks away, which is a shame. Muslims cannot defend their doctrine of perfect preservation. It is a falsehood. It is evident. And I then brought up the point about the aruf, the fact that there's meant to be 7 acceptable modes of the Quran. Where are they? No one knows where they are. They've gone missing. 6 out of 7 different variants of the Quran have gone, which seems a bit bad to me. But hey, hopefully Sneako can go look that up and find out more for himself. And hopefully this will be the first step into leading him back to Christ. Have a genuine faith with Christ, to have truth with you and not be fighting against truth like the Muslims are today. Sneako, I hope sincerely you do come to Christ. It would be better than succeeding in falsehood that Islam is. So God bless you all. Come to Christ. Have a great day. God bless.